The loss of a loved one can leave you feeling depressed, angry, alone, lost. But you don't have to face this journey on your own. Open to Hope is a free community for anyone who has experienced loss. Find support. Find help. Find hope. Give grief a voice at opentohope.com.
Welcome to the Open to Hope show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
We have a wonderful family to talk about the dynamics of having a loss when you are in a family. Well, welcome to our show today.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here.
So great to have you guys on.
I had two sons, and they were 3 years apart in age, and they were about as different. They were like night and day. And
fast forward, you guys got involved in the Compassionate Friends.
well, you know, we came home, and I had a sister who lost a child. Her son was 7.5 when he died. You know, everything you sort of read about grief, you find the Compassionate Friends. So I called. It was 2.5 weeks after Russell died, not even. And she said it might be too early, but I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to do. So anything. I was willing to try anything.
Now, how long has it been?
It's been 13 years. The Compassionate Friends is the place where hope lives.
I love that. That's beautiful. Well, let's bring in Jordan. Heidi was telling me about the event you did.
The support and the community you have.
We try to make it uplifting. You know, we don't want to. We love Russell. We miss Russell. We want to honor Russell, but we don't want to sit there and mourn. That's not what this event is about at all.
Exactly. Well, you gave us permission and made it okay for people to honor Russell's memory and also to grieve through humor.
It's the I mean,
It was so
I'm
good.
sure they'll agree. It's the highlight of my year.
It was
It's
great.
the highlight of their year. It really, my favorite thing about it is that it really allows us to talk about Russell around, year round, and the story doesn't end with his death. The story continues. It's an uplifting event. We get to carry his name and his spirit and his whole life force on, and we get to talk about it in a way that's joyful.
And you raise money, and what happens with it?
So we have a full 2-year scholarship in the Pastry Baking Arts program at the Culinary Institute of America. We're lucky enough to have a full 2-year scholarship that in Russell's name. I think all three of us took care of each other in a sense. I
We
think
held each other up.
the three of us just understood that this was not going to be a thing that was going to tear us apart.
Thanks for watching our show today, and God bless and take care of yourself. And Heidi, I always want to remind you, if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own. Welcome to the Open to Hope show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
We have got some people on that are working on helping kids who have had trauma.
Tichelle is an assistant professor at the University of Missouri, Columbia. She is an expert on death and dying, grief among African American youth, particularly homicide deaths.
I do a lot of work with Black adolescent male youth, looking at their experiences with violent death losses, not just the violence piece, but the death piece that encompasses a serious look at attention to their loss experiences. And so what I found is a number of these youth are coping with multiple significant losses over time. They're coping with a lot of these deaths in the absence of support, and oftentimes by well-meaning people who probably would love to support them, but don't feel equipped with the tools to adequately provide that support. My approach is that we've looked at all types of things. We're failing to look at these youth as holistic beings. With our youth, especially our Black male youth, we're needing to do the same thing. Not compartmentalize them, but look at the multiple losses that they're coping with to support them. Well, I'll tell you some very hopeful things that have happened. One is I do a grief education program in Missouri right now. It's a shared grief education program, surviving, healing, evolving through death. And what I find both in my research and also in practice is that these youth are very pleased to talk about their experiences. And so we need a lot of healing work with these youth to see some changes occur. I think it's hopeful that these teens show up. They show up to meet with me. I validate that they've had a loss experience. Oftentimes they're coping with so much that it's normalized in our society. And so they're enacting all of these dangerous strategies, needing to carry a gun or that mask that they show on the outside when they're coping with so much on the inside. And so I sit with them and I lend them my ear. I bring water and peanut butter crackers.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
that's very basic, but I start
Yeah.
with just very basic
Yeah.
needs
Yeah.
and validate their lost experiences.
The next person that's going to be on is from Harlem Mothers Save, and it's Jackie Rowe Adams, and she has done some fabulous work in trying to get guns out of Harlem and out of the neighborhood. And unfortunately, she has lost 2 kids,
Yep.
Anthony and Tyrone, to gun violence. Jackie, it is so great to have you on the show today.
It's great to
so
be
appreciate
here.
you
It's
coming. Anthony and Tyrone died separate years apart.
Anthony was 17 when he got killed. Tyrone was killed by a 13-year-old.
That's unbelievable.
I woke up and said, enough is enough. What are we going to do about all these killings? But I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I said, enough is enough. We have to call a question. Who's putting these guns in these kids' hands?
Yeah.
We went to Assemblyman Keith Wright's office and crying all over the carpet, 5 mothers. Just 5 mothers saying, what are y'all going to do about
like it.
We don't want to keep putting the blame on the politicians. We don't want to keep putting the blame on the police. We don't want to keep blaming all the teachers and the schools and everyone. We are to blame. We have to take back our kids. We have to take back our community. One of the things our organization, Harlem Mothers Save, is doing is prevention and education. We're doing prevention by talking to these families that have no clue. These mothers and fathers don't have a clue. One of the things Harlem Mothers is doing is first responders. I was telling Tishelle earlier, we go to the hospitals when these kids are shot to let the family know we know your pain, no revenge. I whisper in the mother or father ear and I say, I lost 2 kids to gun violence. I know your pain,
Good for you.
but no revenge.
Revenge.
Stay engaged with your children.
Yeah.
We, Harlem Mothers, is getting ready to have a day of conversation and
like
fun with cops and kids.
I like
Okay.
this.
Because 3-year-olds is now saying they're scared of the cops.
Yep.
Right.
They don't like the cops. So we have to take back our community because we need the cops.
Absolutely.
We, as advocates and as adults, as educators, as doctors, as lawyers, we have to begin and continue to tell them it is hope. We have to take back our community, take back our kids, and all kids are ours.
Yeah, I like
we
that.
have to remember that
Yeah.
and give all our kids hope.
Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley with my daughter and co-host.
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, today we've got a great show. We're going to be talking about trauma and heal the body with a real expert in trauma, Dr. Bessel van der Kolk.
Welcome to the show, Bessel.
Good day.
Let's talk starting about your book, The Body Keeps Score. Why did you name it The Body Keeps Score?
Because that's what the people I was working with were talking about, and that they could forget about the trauma. And then when we did brain scans, we saw that all these areas of stress hormones were lit up. When we measured people's stress hormones, they are elevated, and people experience their trauma with their guts and their heart, and they break down and they collapse and they flee and they fight and they fight and they become angry. As all this primitive part of the body and the brain is there to defend and attack and run away and collapse. It's very, very primitive. When you give up, the big piece about trauma is say, oh my God, this is too horrendous. I will never get over this. Stress hormones are very good for us. That makes us active, able to do things, stay up late nights. But when you cannot do anything, you get held down or frozen, or you just go like, oh my God. Then the stress hormones get turned against you
Oh, wow.
and set up panic reactions and terror and fear and rage. So you actually
Anxiety.
need to rechannel agitation.
You think it's never going to change.
Right, right.
You're like, okay, this is my life
Right.
forever.
I'd like to say something about it,
Yes.
because that feeling of it will never go away is because a little part of your brain shuts down, the timekeeper of your brain, and so you're trapped in that moment. And you don't see the past and the future anymore.
Right.
And then, you know, for example, when you do yoga, which is just one way of helping you, you hold the pose that may be very unpleasant for 5 breaths. It reestablishes a sense of time. When you start counting your breath, you notice what happens next. So the issue is to reestablish the sense of time, and you do that by noticing what happens in your body also. So when you start feeling uncomfortable, then the thing you ask yourself, what happens next? When you meditate, you may get a cramp. You say, I'm having a cramp. I wonder what's going to happen to that cramp. Not like I have to avoid it, but my body is going to do something with that.
Yeah.
And then you notice that your body has its way of dealing with stuff. So you reestablish the sense of time in a very subtle way. I was into body work before I got into yoga, and then we learned about something called heart rate variability, which is a measure of how your brain organizes the rhythms in your body. And if you have bad heart rate variability, you tend to become ill, overwhelmed, freaked out, get heart attacks, get cancer. And if you have very good heart rate variability, you are able to be calm, focused, and your body is much healthier. And then we discovered that you can train your brain through yoga. People got better on yoga than any study has ever been done on drugs for PTSD.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
it's a very powerful technique. In our culture, we want speedy results.
Yes.
The doctors want speedy results and the patient wants speedy results. And people don't really want to take the time to own themselves anymore.
Right.
And in that regard, there are really no shortcuts. You need to do it, and you need to practice inhabiting yourself and befriending yourself and befriending what happens inside of you. Owning your body, and of course it's not only yoga. You know, I think that a lot of these techniques that people have practiced in Asia, Tai Chi, drumming in Africa, movement, dancing, tango dancing, I'm sure it was a post-traumatic technique, getting in tune and rhythm with people and just doing it right like that. There's all ways of restoring your synchrony with yourself and with the people around you.
Yeah.